Sews, my name's Sarah. Thanks for joining me today. It is another Friday Sews. Today is the 23rd of June and I've got a few things to share with you. Again, I've not done any actual sewing, but I did cut something out yesterday. Not completely, but part of it. So I'll share that with you. And a few people have asked to hear more about my experience modelling for sewing brands, so I thought I could chat about that a bit. I also had a little delivery and I've got something else, an exciting plan to share with some of you. So first up, what have I been sewing or cutting out? I mentioned a while ago that I wanted to make another Elodie dress, but as a concert dress. And the concert in question is next weekend, which I think theoretically seems like enough time, but bearing in mind, so it's on the Sunday, and then on the Saturday, the theatre group that I run the music for, they have their showcase, so I have rehearsals for that all day and a concert in the evening, and then I've got rehearsals for them on Friday as well. So the weekend is looking a little bit busy, but I like a challenge, I like a deadline, so I've decided to just go for it. I have a bit of time off today. I'm free until about 2 o'clock-ish, so I'm hoping I can get the bulk of the bodice sewn up. We're then going to be away for a bit over the weekend, so yeah, I've tried to plot out some time next week to get it done, so let's cross our fingers and hope for the best. But I'm going to show you, get a little sneak peek in the background. I've got my little file, little file now. So I am using for the main fabric this Sequin fabric from Fabric Godmother's, where I bought it, and I'm lining it with this just very basic black lining fabric, which is from Minerva.com. This sequin fabric makes an absolute mess to cut out. I mean, you can sort of, I don't know how well you can see this if there's a single layer. There's like a, well, it's see-through, you can see there, so you definitely have to line it. And it's like a sort of tinsel. It's like there are these stripes of tinsel going all the way across. Can you see that? And then the sequin sewn in as well. And it just makes such a mess. I had to sort of plan my cutting yesterday so that I could hide the mess away before Nathan came to bed. So yeah, it was messy, but I do think it's going to be a really nice dress. I've had a bit of faff working out the skirt because my instinct says to have separate layers so that the skirt can really move, but because of the wrap silhouette, I was getting a bit muddled about where to enclose seams and where not to, and just like, so I think what I'm going to do is just keep it all as one. I looked at a few different sort of sequin wrap dresses online and they all seem to be enclosed, so I'm just going to attach it to the lining rather than having a flowing skirt. It's going to be more structured, which I think will be fine. You live and you learn, but I don't sort of have time to make a mess of it, so I just thought let's do the simplest thing. I had a rehearsal for that concert on Tuesday, so I went to Bury St Edmunds. Coincidentally, if you are up that way, if you live near Bury St Edmunds, feel free to come along. It's going to be a really fun concert. It's a very light-hearted programme. The bit I'm involved in is by Rutter. It's called Feel the Spirit, and it's sort of a choral version of a lot of traditional spiritual songs. And it's with a big old orchestra, a choir and stuff like that. So I will, if you can wait till the end, I'll pop a little video in at the end, which I have permission to share as long as it's just to my sewing buddies. So I'll share a very, very short clip of part of the rehearsal if you'd like to see it. So yeah, so that's what I'm trying to get done for next week. Hopefully I'll be able to do a Friday Sews next week, and hopefully I will have a finished gown to show you, because if it's not finished by Friday, it ain't happening. So yeah, so that is that. In terms of deliveries, I'm not really ordering things at the moment unless I need like notions or bits and bobs for projects I already have lined up. But I did win, in Selfless So April, I won a voucher to Fleurette. I don't know if that's how you say it. But I hadn't spent it yet. So I've been sort of keeping an eye, and I went on the other day and I ordered a couple of things and I finally spent my voucher. So one of them is ridiculously out of season, but basically every year when it gets to Christmas I see these nutcracker print fabrics and I think I'd love to do some crafty stuff, but I've always sort of left it too late. So they had just posted some new ones and I ordered this. So literally 1/2 meter. It's a pretty little print. Who's the designer? Oh, it's Art Gallery. It's an Art Gallery one. And I'm just thinking, so the last couple of years, we've not really done much with Christmas decorations because since we got Nala, we don't really have room for a tree and it's just been a bit of a faff. But hopefully when our building work's done, we will be able to have some, like, I love Christmas decorations. I love the tree normally. I love all this stuff. So I've really missed it the last couple of years. And I'm hoping that we can have a bit more of a Christmassy vibe in the house this year. So I'm going to make, I'm thinking cushions, a couple of cushions or something, and just have that on the cover and on the front and a plain back is the plan. And then the main fabric I purchased is this lovely viscose. And this is a Cloud 9 fabric. Now, as soon as it went up, I got in and ordered it. I think it was sold out pretty quickly. So it's this. I mean, aren't the colours on that so good? And it's got, I can't see what I'm showing you here. Here we go. It's got parrots all over it. How lush is that? I just love the colours. I love the design. And I thought, you know what, let's just go for it. Because I was holding on to that voucher and then I was thinking, what are you holding on for it for? So, and I think I like this fabric enough that it was worth just spending it on that. So I'm not sure. I'm going to hold it because the colours are a bit darker, aren't they? So I think I'm going to save it for sort of going into autumn time because I think, I mean, the parrots, I suppose, are very summery, aren't they? But it's just those darker tones, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I'm really chuffed with that. So that was my purchase for this week. As I said, I'm not really purchasing at the minute. I've cancelled my Little Miss So-and-so box. I'll have the one more coming, which will be the one for the end of this month. But it's just a cost that I can't justify at the minute. And I've got so much sewing to do for the wedding. We're under 4 months till the wedding now. Oh, I've got so much to do. So, yeah, so, and I sort of think I need to just be able to put money into getting the stuff I need for that, to do my flower girls and to do the other bits I want to do for it. And I need to stop distracting myself with other things. So, so that's the plan, is to not be buying much unless it's like I'm planning on making something and I need another bit of fabric to finish the project or whatever. So stuff related to other projects, or stuff related to the wedding is what I want to focus on for the next few months because I have loads of fabric in my stash anyway. And I need to save the money, guys. So don't let me go crazy shopping anywhere, okay? So yeah, so that's that. Now, as I said, a few people had mentioned that they might be interested to hear more about my experience of modelling for different sewing brands. I've done campaigns now for Tilly and the Buttons, Hobbycraft, and Sew Over It is the most recent one. I don't know, there might be specific things you want to know, in which case, like, pop a question down and I can talk about it next week. But basically, I suppose the question I get really often is, how did I get into it? And to be honest, it was completely coincidental with Tilly and the Buttons. I had only been sewing probably, I think I started sewing September. So, and literally I couldn't use a machine. So I literally learned how to use a machine in September 2020, I think. And then I was contacted by the Tilly team around January, I think, of 2021. And the photo shoot was like the day before my birthday, so March 2021. So I really had not been sewing for very long. I had a bit of sewing stuff on Instagram, but I didn't have loads because obviously I was still learning, and they just popped me a message and sort of said, is this something you'd be interested in? And I initially thought, this must be fake. But it wasn't fake, it was real. So that was for the first pattern that they released in their extended size range, which was the Lyra dress. Now I have since made the Lyra dress a million times, so it's great to be on the cover of a pattern that you love so much. And then we also shot for the Billy sweater, and what was the other one? Oh, the Jamie shorts, pyjama shorts. So yeah, so basically with that, what happened, I had a bit of a different experience to other people doing Tilly shoots because it was still during lockdowns. So on the shoot, there was only me, there was the photographer, and then there was Nikki, who's one of the buttons. Tilly was on maternity leave at the time, so she did video in, but we actually couldn't have had more than that number of people in the shoot anyway, so I did my own hair and makeup. And they sort of said, oh, it's different because normally everyone's sort of bustling around and everything like that, whereas it was just the three of us. But it was good. I was really nervous before. I'd never done anything like that in my whole life. But they were very sweet and very encouraging. Beforehand, they asked me to send measurements, and then they posted me samples. So I had some short samples and a sweater and a dress sample just in rough fabric. And then we had a video call, and they sort of talked about tweaks to the sizing, asked how I felt about the sizing and the fit. And then that is how they knew any major adjustments. Now, you're not going to get necessarily a perfect fit in that process, right? Because I didn't think I was qualified 100%. I could say if something was like uncomfortable, or if something was rising too far here or too low here or whatever, but sometimes I don't notice like drag lines and stuff until I see a picture. You know, so and they do what they can on the video, but it's just it's the best that you can do in those circumstances, right? And I turned up on the day, and then they had my samples there, and then it was just a nice fun day. Studio has lots of snacks in. You just change outfits. They make you do some video bits. My video bits were a bit weird because I didn't really understand what they were for, and now I look them back and I think I could have done better with those. But yeah, so that was that one. And then there was a bit of a delay. So the photo shoot was in March, and I think the first pattern was released in May. So there was like quite a long period when I'd done the shoot, but before the pictures had started to come out. And no, it just made a really big difference it obviously made a big difference on my social media and stuff. But also I felt much more encouraged to sew after that, which I know seems weird, but I just sort of felt like very welcomed into the fold. Yeah, and it was, you know, I've really persevered with sewing since then. So that was that. And the following year, I was contacted by Hobbycraft. Theirs was a really different kind of project. So it was me, and they basically had a team of 3 of us. So it was me, Narissa, and Emily, and then a model, Izzy. And we went down to Southampton for the day and filmed. So they'd sent us in advance this shirt pattern, which they'd asked us to make. Now, Hobbycraft, I feel like this isn't publicised enough. They filmed a lot of social media stuff with us, but they haven't posted like a lot of it on social media. I think they share a lot of it in store and stuff. But they purchased this pattern company from like the continent, where basically you take like a million measurements of yourself, but then it adjusts the pattern for you and prints it out. So the pattern you get should be like the perfect fit pattern. They're called made to measure patterns. And yeah, so they sent us this fitted shirt, and then they'd asked us stuff like we had to make a reel each, and we had to, what else did we have to do? We had to make the shirt, we had to make a reel. Yeah, that was it. They sent us fabric. Oh, and we had to bring stuff that we would style it with. That bit was a bit tricky because the style they picked was like a fitted shirt. And I feel like a fitted shirt is very much something you'd wear for work rather than like a day-to-day item. So the styling was a bit tricky. And also they picked like the brightest colours. So mine was like Quality Street Purple. I think Narissa's was like lime green. Emily's was pink, I think, really bright pink. And then Izzy's was like blue. But they were really bright colours. So anyway, so we made the garments, then we went down for the day, and that was a much bigger team there, and we did a photo shoot, and they've made lots of like videos. Me and Narissa went down and did a video where she's sort of making the shirt and I'm helping her measure herself, which was on the screens in store. So I'll try and pop a video of that up at the end as well. Yeah, it was a really fun day, actually. It was really different to the Tilly thing. It's obviously Hobbycraft is like a really big brand. So it was more sort of, it was less personal, I guess, but it was really, really lovely. And I had fun, and I met some great people. This is the other thing with doing these sorts of things. You get to meet people, and I wore a very purple shirt. What can I say? So that was great. And I do think the made to measure thing has legs. I think they're still like adjusting to the sort of what the designs are that people really want to wear, because I think sometimes the like the taste in clothing in like certain parts of Europe and like the UK are not always like lined up, the things that are really popular. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential to that idea, isn't there? And then the most recent one was Sew Over It, which was really, really fun. I actually learnt to sew on a Sew Over It introduction to sewing course online. So it's sort of this, it's crazy to me that now I'm on some of their patterns. And with that, again, they just messaged me on Instagram and said, do you want to come do a shoot for us? And I was like, yeah, great. And yeah, it was amazing. The thing that's kind of cool with Sew Over It as well is so you go to a studio for the day, but then they don't have virtual fittings. They just take your measurements. None of the things I was wearing had particularly difficult fitting. So it was like a jacket, a dress, but the dress has an elasticated back, so that made things easier. And a wrap top. So the fitting for them all is like a little bit less tricky. So yeah, and the thing that was really nice about them, they picked things so the jacket and the dress were both in colours linked to a coat that I'd made, the Vivian coat that I'd made in like a colour called Sangria, so like a dark pinky red. And they were like, it looks so good on you that we knew your samples had to be in those colours. So I just thought it was really nice that they sort of considered things that I'd feel good in. And it's also nice there that a lot of the team, excuse me, a lot of the team also are being photographed. So you see they have so many different versions of each design. And like they're all sort of involved and stuff. It was really fun. So basically with that one, I went and there were a couple, no, there was Lena there and so another model, and then it was like, I think it was all people. Yeah, it was like Jemima and Rosie and Alma and like the team, and you have your hair and makeup done, and then you just get into different looks. They've got loads of shoes and everything lined up so that they can style you. And yeah, it's in this sort of warehousey thing, so you get sort of sorted upstairs and then you come down in your outfit, they style you, you do your photo shoot, you go around the corner, you do a couple of video bits for Instagram and TikTok and whatever, and that's it. So all of these companies they pay you to do these things, so which for me is important because it takes quite a lot of time out, and it's obviously a big privilege, but for me, because I'm self-employed as well, I take time off work to do it, so it's just nice to still be able to pay my bills and do something that's really nice to do. So and I still find it, I get very excited. I think it's not very cool to get excited, is it? But I get very excited to see myself on these things. It's just not a segue that I expected my life to sort of take. Didn't see it going that way. But no, it's a real honour. And I think as well, when you've been, I've said this before, but I think when you're plus size or fat, it's often used as a reason to exclude you from things. I think in terms of, especially if you work in theatre and just in life in general, it's like you always have this thing of like, oh yeah, you're talented, but if you were thinner, blah, 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 all this stuff. And actually to have something where people just celebrate your body for what it is really amazing and a real privilege, and something that I do not take for granted at all. So yeah, and that's how, when all this stuff kicked off recently with the Tilly and the Buttons discussion, like there are elements of it that I get, right, but I do also think I know that they don't hate fat people, do you know what I mean? It was just like a bad fit in one pattern. So I just think, yeah, I had a really, really, really great experience with all of the companies I've worked with. Yeah, would recommend highly. So that's that. And then the one other thing I was going to chat about was I am planning a sewing challenge. I've been a bit scared. I'm not going to announce what it is yet. I need to wait until I've had a little bit of time off, which the next couple of weeks is still a bit crazy, and then I've got a bit of time off. Because I want to sort of put the materials together to be able to post about it and share details. And I want to work out some dates, prizes, things like that. But I have got a little challenge planned. It's a very light-hearted challenge. It's not raising awareness or money for anything. It's just like a fun theme and just to get people playing around with some different ideas. it's a bit scary actually. I posted on this sewing vlogger Facebook group to be like, I'm scared. Is this a bad idea? Have you done a challenge yourself? What would you advise me? And everyone was just like, go for it. So you just don't want to like post this challenge and then everyone to be like, I'm not interested in your challenge. But we'll, hopefully that's not the case. So yeah, so keep your eyes peeled because I will share about it on here first because you know you're my OGs. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. So that's that. As I said, next week, again, I don't know how much is going to have happened, but hopefully I will have a finished or very almost finished concert dress to show you by next Friday. And yeah, we'll see what else. But thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.